friends. Let me start this short episode with a simple question. If you had to choose only one, would you rather study English from a textbook or live inside English every day? Because that is really the difference we are talking about today. Textbooks or podcasts? Textbooks try to explain the language, but podcasts let you experience the language. And that difference changes everything. Most learners begin with textbooks. That makes sense. A textbook gives you a clear path. It tells you what to study, in what order, and how each part of the language works. There is a feeling of safety in that structure. You feel like you are making progress because you can see the pages, the units, the exercises. But there is something important that textbooks cannot give you. They cannot give you the feeling of real language. When you read a textbook, everything is clean. Sentences are complete. Grammar is correct. Conversations in textbooks are controlled. Nothing is messy. Nothing is unclear. And nothing is fast. But real English is not like that. Real English is full of interruptions, hesitations, emotions. People do not speak in perfect sentences. They stop, they restart, they change direction, they say less and sometimes more. They use tone, rhythm, and stress to communicate meaning, not just words. And this is where podcasts become powerful. When you listen to a podcast, you're not studying English in a controlled environment. You are entering the language as it really exists. You hear how ideas are connected, how thoughts develop, how meaning flows over time. You're not just learning what English is. You are learning how English behaves. That is a very different kind of learning. There is another deeper reason why podcasts are more effective, and it has to do with how the brain actually processes language. When you read a textbook, your brain moves slowly. You can stop at every sentence. You can translate. You can analyze. You can go back and check again. Everything is under your control. But in real communication, you do not have that control. When someone speaks to you, the words do not wait. The sentence continues whether you are ready or not. You cannot pause a real conversation. You cannot rewind a person, okay? Podcasts simulate this reality in a safe way. They train your brain to follow meaning in real time. They push you to let go of perfect understanding and focus instead on general meaning. And this is exactly the skill you need in conversations. And that's exactly why, in this short episode, I am using harder words and more complex structures. Fluent speakers are not people who understand every word. They are people who can stay with the flow of meaning, even when they miss details. Podcasts train that ability. There is also the question of memory, and this is where many learners misunderstand how learning works. People often believe that learning happens when they understand something clearly. So they read a rule, they understand it, and they feel satisfied. They feel like they have learned. But understanding is not the same as remembering, and remembering is not the same as using the language. Textbooks are very good at helping you understand. They explain grammar, they organize information, they make things clear, okay? But podcasts do something more important. They help you remember through repetition, but not mechanical repetition, natural repetition. When you listen regularly, you start to hear the same structures again and again. The same patterns appear in different sentences. The same expressions return with small variations, and without trying, your brain begins to recognize them. You do not memorize them consciously, you absorb them. Over time, these patterns become familiar. Then they become automatic, and eventually, they become part of your speech. This is how fluency actually develops, not through rules, but through repeated exposure to meaningful language. There is also something more human, something more emotional that textbooks simply cannot provide. When you listen to a podcast, you're not just learning language, you are hearing a voice, a personality, a way of thinking. You follow ideas, stories, and opinions. Now, this does not mean that textbooks are useless. They still have a role. They can help you understand structure. They can clarify confusion. They can give you a foundation. But they should not be your main tool. Podcasts move you closer to real use. They train your ear, your rhythm, and your intuition. They help you think less and respond more. And in the end, that is what fluency is. Not perfect grammar, not advanced vocabulary, but the ability to stay in the language and move with it. So here is a simple shift you can make. Do not replace textbooks completely, but reduce their importance and increase your exposure to real English. Listen more, repeat more, and stay with the flow, even if you do not understand everything. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of English Unleashed. If this episode made you think differently about how you learn English, then you are already moving in the right direction.